This is the review for test number 3, version 1. It covers the law of sines, the law of cosines, and the area of a triangle. You will need a scientific calculator, or you can use Desmos, but for both of them, make sure that your mode is in degree. Right. So for the first problem, we need to find the length of side AB. So to find the side AB, we need to first decide whether we're going to use the law of sines or cosines. You use the law of cosines when you are given side angle side or side side side. In this particular triangle, I'm given a side, an angle, and a side. So I'm going to use law of cosines, and that is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of big C. So I'm going to go ahead and relabel my triangle. Big C, purple does not work. Big C is going to be 54 degrees. Little c is going to be what I'm trying to find. And A and B don't matter. So I'm going to plug in those numbers. Now since this side is entirely all numbers, I can just enter that in my calculator just the way that it is. And we get 128.336. And you want to go ahead and take the square root because this side is squared. It's going to take the square root of both sides. And to do that in the calculator, you want to take the square root of second and then the negative button. And that lets you take the square root of the whole answer without rounding. So that means x equals 11.328. You can truncate, or you could write it as 11.329. I don't care which way. Both of these answers are acceptable. For number 2, you're finding the measure of angle M. And then it gives you the 3 side lengths. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the triangle. We have M, N, and L. And it doesn't matter in which order that you put the numbers. The triangle ratios are still going to be the same. So M to N is 22. L to N is 39. L to M is 19. And I want to find the angle M. So I'm going to make that my X right there. Now, same as before, we use the law of cosines when you have side angle side and side side side. So since I'm given all 3 sides here, I want to use the law of cosines, which is c squared equals a squared plus b squared minus 2ab cosine of big C. So big C is the angle that I'm trying to find. So that's going to be my X, which means little c has to be across from it. And then A and B, it doesn't matter which order you do them in. So I have 39 squared equals 22 squared plus 19 squared minus 2 times 22 times 19 times the cosine of x. Now in this case, we cannot put it all in the calculator because this has an x on this side and it's just not going to work. We need to get the x or the cosine x by itself. So you should subtract 22 squared, subtract 19 squared from both sides. So I have 39 squared minus 22 squared minus 19 squared equals negative 2 times 22 times 19 times cosine x. Now, these numbers are being multiplied by cosine x. So to undo that, we are going to divide by those numbers on both sides. Now I just took this cosine x and I put it on the other side. I just kind of flip-flop the two sides so it'd be easier to see. Now to undo the cosine that's in front of the x, we have to do the inverse cosine. So I'm going to inverse cosine this right side, and I get x equals the inverse cosine of 39 squared minus 22 squared minus 19 squared divided by negative 2 times 22 times 19. And now, since this whole side is numbers, I can put it in the calculator all at once. It does get a little bit tricky, so let me see if I can show you how to do it in this scientific calculator. We have to use a set of parentheses for the top. So when you type in inverse cosine, it comes up with this. Then I'm going to put an extra set of parentheses around these top numbers. So parentheses 39 squared minus 22 squared minus 19 squared. And I closed that set of parentheses. Now I'm going to be dividing by, and put another set of parentheses around the bottom. Negative 2 times 22 times 19, and then close that set of parentheses. So if you can tell, I have an open set, a closed set, an open set, a closed set, and then I need to close this first parenthesis that they have written right there. So I get 149.960 or 0.961. 143.960, or the other acceptable answer would be 143.961. Either of those answers would be okay. Let me give myself a little bit of space. So for number 3, it tells us that only one triangle can be made. So we have a triangle XYZ. And angle Z is 112 degrees. Side Y is 3, and side Z is 4. So you might need to think about, what should I be using? I need to find all the missing sides and angles. So I have to find angle X, angle Y, and side X right here. The formulas, we have law of sines or law of cosines. I am not given side, 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 and I'm not given a side angle side. I'm given two sides and an angle that is not between them. So I want to use law of sines. So you want to pick your ratio that you start off with, and that's when one of the angles is across from one of the sides. So in this case, I'm going to have the sine of 112 over 4 equals, and then I have part of this ratio. I'm missing angle y over side 3, so I'm going to have the sine of big Y over 3. It's very important to remember that whenever you use the sine, it's the sine of an angle. The problem will not work if you wrote the sine of 4. So now I'm going to cross multiply. I have 3 sine 112 equals 4 sine y. Now the sine and the y, these are stuck together. You can't break them apart quite yet. So first you have to divide by 4. Now we can get rid of the sine, and you get rid of the sine not by dividing, but taking the inverse. So once again, we're going to put that in the calculator, so inverse sine. I'm going to do an extra set of parentheses at the top. And we get angle y is 44.058 degrees. That's for the angle. Now for this triangle, I still have my 4, my 3, 112 degrees, and I also have 44.058 degrees for angle y. So to find angle x, we know that a triangle has 180 degrees in it. All the angles add up to 180 degrees, so I'm going to do 180 minus 44.058 minus 112 and I have 23.942 degrees. That is for angle x. And the last thing I need to find is side x, this missing side right there. So to do that, you have to use law of sines again. I suppose you could actually also use law of cosines and get the same answer, but I'm going to stick with law of sines here. I'm going to have the sine of this angle across from x and I can either choose y or z to use. I'm going to use z just because they don't involve decimals. You want to go ahead and cross multiply here. Now, remember the sine is with the 112, so I can divide by the sine of 112. Put this in my calculator. Sine of 4 sine 23.942 divided by the sine of 112. So you could have gotten 1.751 or 1.750. This is if you truncated, and this is if you rounded. last problem on the front. The last problem on the front talks about how we should be assuming that there are two triangles made with the information. So I have two triangles here. That's probably not a very good picture. So it says that angle C is 31 degrees. And we have little c, which is the 5. Now the 5 can either swing in to make it an acute angle or swing out to make it an obtuse angle. It also gives me that one of the side lengths is 6. You don't actually even need to set up the picture. We're just going to focus on the first triangle right now. We have a ratio set up here, so I'm going to do the sine of the angle across from the side equals the sine of the missing angle across from 6. Go ahead and cross multiply. Then we will take the inverse sine because I'm finding an angle. And we get 38.173, or you could have had 38.174 degrees. I usually truncate, so I'm going to keep mine at 38.173. Now to determine the other option for angle A, I'm going to write all of these out again. So I have A equals 6. We are going to take what we got for the first angle A and subtract it from 180 degrees. So I get 141.826 degrees. Now I can find the missing angle in each set of the triangle. So I know that these three angles sum to 180 degrees because there's 180 degrees in a triangle. So I'm going to do 180 minus angle A minus angle C. And I get 110 0.827 degrees. And I can do that over here. These angles also sum to 180 degrees because they form a triangle. So 180 minus 141.826 minus 31, we get 7.174 degrees. Now to find side B. So to find side B, I would normally use the law of the law of sines. I would take the ratio that's already given to me here. I have sine 31 over 5 equals the sine of 110 over what I'm trying to find, which is little b. So this is for finding little b in this first triangle. You're going to cross multiply. Then divide by sine of 31. And once again, you could truncate or round. You're going to get 9.073. And then we have to do it all again to find it for this triangle right there, the second one. So I'm going to take the sine of 31 over 5. I think I might be off the page over there. Let me write it down at the bottom for you. Sine of 31 over 5 equals the sine of angle B over little b. Cross multiply. And divide by sine 31. So we have 5 sine of 7.174 divided by sine of 31, and we get 1.212. So those are the two triangles that can be formed with this given information.